Hi everybody, I'm Ryan. Today we're going to talk about what makes Modern unique from other Magic the Gathering formats, and maybe why play Modern. So let's do it. Modern is all the sets from 8th edition on, including new sets that are coming out now, with some standard and special product excluded. So these cards from 2003 on are included in Modern. It has a ban list that looks like this, to basically ban powerful effects, because especially when you have non-rotating formats, some things become just too powerful and formats become not fun. And there are some things that really attract people to Modern. Number one is that it's always growing, which means that the Modern format is always increasing in power, at least until bannings happen. And in doing so, over time, especially with like pitch elementals and Modern Masters and things like that, it is slowly chasing the power level of Legacy. It also has a lack of rotation. Rotation meaning there are cards that just become illegal because of what set it is in, like in Standard or Alchemy. People sometimes don't like rotation because cards they could play, they can no longer play. But that doesn't exist in Modern. You make a deck in Modern and you can just play that deck. Now, it might fall in and out of favor depending on what other people are playing, but it'll always be playable as long as it doesn't get banned. One downside of Modern is that it's expensive. Now, not as expensive as like Legacy or, of course, Vintage. But in order to have a playable Modern deck, it could cost as little as $500 and upwards of $1,500, unless you're playing hyper low to the ground decks with a lot of commons like Burn. With all of these things considered though, Modern is Magic the Gathering's most popular format as I make this video. So it's important to know one or two things about it. One thing that really attracts people to Modern is that there are good decks in most strategies you can think of. There are mid-range decks like 4 and 5 color Omnath. There are combo decks like Living End or Creativity. There are aggro decks like Hammer Time and Burn. Tempo decks like Murktide Regent. Creature Toolbox combo decks like Yawgmoth. And then scammy decks like Red-Black Evoke. And people like it because it's powerful. You get to play with some of the most powerful cards in Magic's history. New and old, like Pitch Elementals, Regavan, Cascade Effects, Tron, all of those things you can do in Modern. Now, I did want to compare it to other formats because people might be watching this video from the perspective of a different format. When we compare it to Standard, there's a few major glaring differences. One is that there are better mana fixing in Modern, so you can play multiple colors much easier and sacrifice much less compared to Standard decks. And there's a much larger amount of strategies compared to Standard. Most Standard strategies are about resolving threats, and if your deck has a different dynamic to it, it is secondary to resolving important threats. Where in Modern, you can win a game by not resolving any threats, by resolving a combo, or be a control deck that's slowly working towards casting Creativity, or winning with a single card like the Cascade decks. Its biggest difference compared to Pioneer is that you're allowed to play fetch lands in Modern. Now, Pioneer is another non-rotating format that is supported competitively, but by being able to play fetch lands in Modern, in conjunction with shock lands and triomes, means that mana is always very good in Modern, especially compared to Pioneer. And when we compare it to Legacy, most of the power of Legacy comes from the power level of its non-creature cards, like Brainstorm or Force of Will, where a lot of the power of Modern comes from its creature cards, like its Pitch Elementals or Regavan. And so that dynamic is very, very different. In addition, in Legacy, you can play original dual lands, so it's less painful to have good mana. You don't have to pay 2 life for a dual land to enter untapped just after you fetch it out. And that's the long and short about what makes Modern unique. It is a really fun format. I think what stresses me out is that there's so many strategies, it's really hard to go into a tournament and feel like you have an edge, besides just being really good with the deck that you're playing. But Modern is super fun. What do you think of Modern? Did I miss anything that makes Modern unique? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, you should check me out on social medias. Links are above me and in the description, especially on Twitter and Discord. I'm trying to rebuild the communities there. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.